Nestled along the northern border of the Chihuahuan Desert lies a beautiful place that reaches up 11,000 feet. Lincoln National Forest. Over 1 million acres of wilderness. Established in 1902 by the man himself, Theodore Roosevelt. This is my most ambitious venture to date, and I'm dragging along my 2 buddies and my dog. For the next week, we will be exploring the Sacramento Ranger District, which is close to Cloudcroft. It provides lots of trails and beautiful wildlife to explore. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm Mike Fisher, and this is Guy in Tacoma.
This is what not to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah!
Before we could get the fun started, we had to make the nearly 600-mile trek from central Texas up to New Mexico. I'll spare you a lot of the footage that I took on the trip up there, and we'll just kick things off. The sights were incredible. I totally forgot it was fall and that the trees were going to be popping. As we got in on the first day, the sun was soon to set. So first off, we had to set up our tent and get a fire started. After a nearly 9-hour drive into New Mexico, by this point we were pretty exhausted and just wanted to do something easy. So we cooked up a bunch of vegetables and had jalapeno sausages that night. Couple of nips off of the whiskey bottle, and it's time to go to bed. The next morning, we were a little bit slow to rise, but we were determined to get out to Willie White Trailhead. So we got a few rounds of coffee in, brushed our teeth, and hit the road. I'm gonna go ahead and keep quiet now and let you enjoy the film. We seem to have gotten back just in the nick of time to beat this afternoon shower. It was a perfect opportunity just to laze about for a little while and enjoy the sounds of rain. After lazing about for a couple of hours, we decided it was time to get some grub in our bellies. We wanted to do something easy again, so we took the leftover vegetables and sausage from the night before and mixed it in with some instant mashed potatoes. If you've made it this far into the video, be sure and like this video and subscribe to my channel, otherwise I'm gonna have to fart in your tent. We wrapped up the day with another fire and another night of whiskey shots all around. With another late start to the morning, we made our way out to Tularosa Basin. But that was just a side quest. We were really going for Farm to Ranch Road 623, which was a pretty cool trail. It's about 9 miles. It was on the easy grade, and it was actually called Russia Canyon Road. So I looked into it, and the origins of Russian Canyon is a bit of a mystery. It must have been named in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and was like a place for loggers and ranchers and miners. Well, this is embarrassing. My GoPro fell off. Hopefully I can get this sucker reattached so I can show you guys this trail. Hope you like Russian hip-hop.
Život je staza kojom svi moramo proći. Puna trnja i zlobe, puna karnevala i lažnih ljudi. Ali zato slijedi srce, ono ti govori da budeš prvak. Ne slušaj druge i samo guraj. Nikad neću biti ono što su rekli vi. Nikad slabo, nikad fikli. Idem do vrha po prvom isto. Spartanac od lida i poznati 300. Kao mali učili smo hodati, priča sa sistem govori. Treba ležati, šutam dokle više. Kao neki psi, slušamo komande i mašemo repom. Dok bogati se bogate preko naših leđa. Gdje je u ovom matriksu međa. Uhljebi vladaju i tako u krug. Stvarnost je takva, niko nikom drug. Pojedinci se bore i žive stove, plaćene krvlju i znojem. Ostvarili sve sa svoje bucket liste. Uspjeli životu, šta vi robovi sistema niste. Kraju krajeva kao generacija smo pizde. Živi se od tuđih para, starci nam skidaju zvizde. Voze se auti od 100K za leasing i kreće se lako. Dok je mami i tate možemo tako. Sramota i bijeda okolo svuda. U kud svi imali mujoći tuda. Treba biti bolji od toga i baš zato. Budi borac, Stipe Drviš. Živi highlight, Stipe Drviš. Od dna do vrha, Stipe Drviš. Ne budi slabić, Stipe Drviš. Ljubi svoje, Stipe Drviš. Bahami, Miami, Stipe Drviš. Izbjegni Matrix, Stipe Drviš. Ostani prva, Stipe Drviš. Istina je izgubljena, sve nam je teško, sve nas boli, ali problem je u mentalitetu. Svi kuće i bazene bez da rade za to. Psuje se bogat, konzumira alkohol i droga, a ove žene danas, kojoj da vjeruješ kad svaka gleda pare i tu priča ne staje. Štaci se kupi, to se i vozi, ako nema tate, bit sugar daddy od Instagrama pažnje, ništa bitnije, zar ima i šta toliko tužno. Žene tamo ne to tako ružno. Treba doma ležiti i nokte pravit, a podgrijati jupu ne znaju stavit. Onda se pitamo zašto brakovi propadaju, što se to nama događa. Bez očeve ruke u kući ne može, jer tako to mora i jebi ga. Mediji nam pune glavu sranjima, lažima, mislimo da možemo biti šta god, a trebali bi biti sretni mi. Poanta života ovog je to, Koloseumi, tu su još. Koliko si slijepo od 1 do 100, gladijatori oreni jo. Što vidiš u sjeni boj, moderno roblje živi za to. Ne svača da je prevareno, kako zatrovano društvo je. Zatupljene glave Bože moj. Budi morac, stipe drviš, živi highlight, stipe drviš. Od dna do vrha, stipe drviš, ne budi slabić, stipe drviš. Ljubi svoje, stipe drviš, Ohami, Miami, stipe drviš. Izbjegni Matrix, stipe drviš, ostani prvak, stipe drviš.
The sun decided to dance behind the mountains. So we decided to find a cool spot to post up and crack open a cold one and enjoy the sunset. We played around a little bit. So I figured I would deploy the drone to try and capture the sun going down. And wouldn't you know it, I end up wrecking my drone. Without delay, my good pal Tim starts running towards the tree to go get it. He decides he's gonna climb up there and shake a branch and hopefully it falls out.
All right, get ready to catch it. Oh! He got it! Holy shit! God damn!
Man, what better friends could a guy ask for? With that, we decide to call it a day. Start heading back to home base. We decided to do something a little bit fancier this evening.
All right.
So we whipped up some pancake mix and some ground beef, and a little bit of gravy, and we made what we like to call man cakes. Check this out.
Oh my goodness. Tim, cheers.
Legend.
Fucking legend.
Yeah.
Well, after a big day like that, there wasn't much else to do but get a little bit of rest. The next morning, we got up and didn't really waste much time. I did a quick test flight because I had to replace a couple of rotors. But after that, we got on the road. We came up to a couple of gates that weren't marked very well. all they said was close the gate. So that's what we did. We went right through them and closed it right behind us. Well, after running up and down these hills for the past hour, I was about ready to take a break and deploy the drone. We managed to get off trail a bit, but it was totally worth it because we had to check out that view at the top of the peak. So we went ahead and pulled a UE and went right back down into Curtis Canyon. discovered this dried out pond at the end of the trail called Graveyard Tank. And it was pretty cool, so we popped out for a little while. Had a couple of brewskis. There was this sweet little incline that we had to check out, so we hit that a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All in all, I would rate this trail a 7 out of 10. It was pretty cool. It was about 10 miles and not a whole lot of elevation. I think it was about 1,000 feet in gain and loss. Took us about 2.5 hours to get to the end of actual drive time. We stopped a lot on the way. I would say, you know, it was rated on the easy scale on Onyx Off-Road. It wasn't super technical. It was a little rocky. There were a few fun parts. But all in all, it was just a gorgeous trail. And I didn't understand why it was called Graveyard until the very end. Funny story, we had rolled in there and, you know, the whole time I'm thinking, where is this graveyard at? And we get to the end and we discover this pretty cool little pond, but I could have swore, you know, okay, there's going to be a graveyard at the end of this. So we cruise around for a couple of hours, had a great time. And at the very end, we came across this.
That's the hill.
At the very beginning of the trail, we had passed by the graveyard. And honestly, it was totally worth it because we got to enjoy this beautiful sunset right before we drove back to our campsite. After a day like that, we were cooked. So, you know the routine. We went back to camp, started chopping up some veggies, make some grub, cracked open a few cold ones, even took a couple of nips off the whiskey bottle. Looking back on today, I would say this was the first trail that really caught my eye. It was gorgeous. It was a great spot to fly the drone because it didn't have a bunch of trees in the way. And of course, I like a real rocky trail. On the menu tonight is steak fajitas.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
So day 5, we didn't waste any time. The boys wanted to check out White Sands, which is only about an hour and a half west of us. So I figured that was a pretty cool idea. Let's go check it out. Have a quick afternoon brewski. And it actually ended up being quite lovely that day. So I deployed the drone. So recently, fossilized footprints were discovered at White Sands, New Mexico. This is considered groundbreaking. These footprints, preserved in ancient lakebed sediments, provided evidence for human activity dating back 21,000 to 23,000 years ago. This timeline is significant because it challenges earlier theories about when humans first inhabited North America. These footprints are the oldest known human footprints in America. They indicate humans coexisted with non-extinct Ice Age animals such as mammoths and those giant ground sloths, which left their own tracks nearby. The findings even challenge traditional Clovis theory, which posited that the first humans arrived in North America around 13,000 years ago via the Bering Land Bridge. Instead, these footprints suggest much earlier human migration. White Sands continues to be an important site for studying ancient ecosystems and the interactions between humans and the megafauna. All right, you nerds, it's time to pack up and hit the road. I gotta say, it was a pretty cool spot to visit. I think it was only like $25 for the day. And those beers tasted real nice on top of that sand dune. But alas, we had other campsites that we needed to seize. So we made our way back up to the mountains. And the drive was so nice that I GoPro'd it for you guys. We had to make a couple of stops to refill on gasoline and ice. And we grabbed some barbecue from brother-in-law's barbecue and gun store and got back on the road. So basically we were looking for a road called Lower Car Canyon, and we turned off onto it, and just immediately we were blown away by how beautiful it was. The aspen trees were almost like a golden trail leading us to our newfound home. And I noticed there wasn't a lot of elk in this area. Wasn't much left to do, just to unpack everything and get our tents out. We ate some brisket, we drank some beer, we built a fire and told lies under the stars. Even had a coyote laugh at us at one point. And with that, we called it a night. The following day, we were excited to get back out there and do some exploring, but we were stopped by this logging operation. Seemed to be a couple of locals just taking down old trees and clearing the path, so we decided to just enjoy the show. And that old truck with the winch on the back was pretty sweet.
This is what not to do.
Uh-huh.
Leave it to the professionals.
I thought you were the professionals.
No, you know better than that. Okay, I'm going to wind up the cable and then we'll,
All right, you're hung under the log still.
okay.
On our way up the trail, we encountered another roadblock. We were looking for this place that we thought was going to be an observatory, but it ended up being some telemetry service type thing. Kind of a bummer. It looked all official and government-y, so I decided to blur it out. It ended up just being an eyesore on the side of the mountain anyways, so we hopped back in the truck and hit the trail. And this is that gorgeous vista that we found at the end of the trail. And as the sun began to set behind the western mountains, we sat back and we took it all in. Now, I'm not the best at doing time lapses, but I figured I would at least try to experiment with it. I thought it came out pretty good. But anyways, if you guys are digging this kind of stuff, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel and let me know if you're digging this kind of content, and I'll keep posting it. And that's it. We're signing off for the night. With this being our last full day of exploration, we were really excited to go hit up two separate trails, Water Canyon and Agua Chiquita. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, Water Canyon was a vital resource for settlers in Lincoln National Forest. The canyon provided essential water and grazing lands for cattle, and it also supported small mining operations. The canyon's road likely follows old trails and paths used historically. Over time, it became a popular spot for recreation and off-roading. Today, the road through the canyon allows visitors to explore its scenic beauty. My buddy Tim discovered this gorgeous little meadow as we were cruising, and we decided to pop out and, smell the pine cones. It's always a good idea to get off the road, even if it is a dirt road. Yeah, that's enough. Time to get back to it. We were supposed to take a left, but instead we took a right, do a little bit of extra exploring off the main trail. It was supposed to be a trail for ATVs, but, if you don't tell anyone, we won't tell anyone. These guys busted us, but they didn't say anything. And we thought we could actually get back to the road with this, but we had to turn around and go back. Went down a little bit further and just barely touched a little bit of concrete. Then we jumped onto Agua Chiquita, the next trail. It started off very lush. I'm talking the trees were so thick, I was struggling to fly my drone and get some good shots. And as we started to get down into the valley, we came across this section that looked like there was a forest fire maybe a couple of years ago.
Oh, cool shot. Chewbacca. You want a puppy treat?
We began to slowly descend down into this creek bed, and the foliage began to get thick again. So we decided to pop out for a minute and do some exploring. Take a little pee break, so we all went our separate ways. Really cool creek bed, but we got to get back on the road. I gotta say, this trail is by far one of my favorite ones. A little bit of information about the Agua Chiquita trail is it gets its name from Spanish meaning little water, which likely refers to the small creek running down along the trail. As for its history, this area is historically used by indigenous peoples and later by settlers, and it remains a serene spot for hiking today. It offers a mix of lush vegetation and diverse wildlife. The indigenous peoples that inhabited this land were known as the Apache Mescalero. They utilized the region's abundant natural resources for hunting, gathering, and seasonal camps. The Mescalero Apache, in particular, were known for their deep connection to the land and their ability to thrive in diverse environments. They often followed water sources, like the Agua Chiquita, for sustenance and spiritual practices. Looking back on it, I'd probably rate this trail an 8 out of 10. It was easy going, but man, it was beautiful. So this was pretty cool. The entire trip, we kept seeing these signs of Jupiter and Saturn, and on the way back, we passed by Earth. My buddy started doing a little research and said there was actually an observatory out here. Passed by Venus. The Apache Point Observatory. A coalition of 12 different foundations come together to observe the universe. Now, I don't know much about it, but the views were amazing. After we climbed around on things for a little while, one of the physicists came out, told us to get down off of there, but he ended up being super cool. We talked about black holes and binary brown dwarf star systems.
And this whole building moved.
Gave us a little information about the place. And we didn't want to take up too much of his time, so We hit the road. Just in time to catch this beautiful sunset. But of course, the day's not over until a little bit of chaos arrives in the form of a drone crash. The damn thing was more ornery than a West Texas rattlesnake after getting its head stepped on. We endured and celebrated with another night of heavy drinking. We rose at the butt crack of noon. Time to pack up our gear and make that long trip to Texas. Of course, we had to fire off a couple of rounds before we hit the road. Just make sure that you're at least 500 yards away from any road for safety. Lower Cart Canyon was such a beautiful place. I had to get some footage on the way out of there. I gotta say, coming here in the fall was monumental. After a bit of reflection, I realized this was one of those trips that I would never be the same after coming home. You know, when you take off to do something completely outside of the norm, something that you think is outside of your capabilities, and when your heart is full of doubt, and your mind tells you that things are hopeless, that's where the journey begins. I'd like to end this video with a quote from John Muir. "And into the forest I go, to lose my mind and find my soul."